Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we have in the bottom left, Rush. He's going to be going up against, in the bottom right, Sacsri. Pretty excellent Taran vs. Zerg here on Metro. Definitely, I feel like I say it every time I cast Sacsri, but an underappreciated pro, complete regular in ASL. He's like the second action or something, right? Definitely a different style than action. Not trying to say that they play the same, but action is like, guys, you won't see a round of 8 that action doesn't get to, right? Guys, you won't really see an ASL that Sacsri doesn't get to, occasionally, but he really is very, very regular there. Can win against absolutely everyone. Shows us outstanding games. A little bit ago, we actually casted Sacsri versus Best, which I thought was very good mind games coming out of Sacsri there. That was a fun one. Anyways, going up against Rush, who is going to be doing a Ling Tight Wallin, so he's going to be completely safe. This is a great spawn for Taran on this map. The best spawn against Zerg because of this. It is like Depot Barracks, and the Marines pop out inside, and it's Zergling Tight. So it's like you can do literally anything from that spot and feel completely safe. Anyways, while we wait for this to get started, guys, thank you very much for checking out ArtosisCasts. I hope that you have been enjoying the content. A few things I do want to mention. I do have a second YouTube channel, Artosis TV. That's like kind of the older one where there's all sorts of stuff being put on there, so you can check that out if you'd like. And of course, ArtosisCasts 2, which actually might be getting a little bit of a name change coming up, but that's all the other RTS games that I cast. But thank you very much for making ArtosisCasts a part of your day. This is kind of the thing that I work the most on. And I'm glad that you're enjoying. And a big thanks to everyone who has supported on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Artosis. The link is in the description if you'd like to check that out. If not, no problem. But a big thanks to everyone who has been supporting in that way. It really does mean a lot. Okay, looking at this game, he does get that scout off pretty quickly, and he's going to see like, oh, okay, this is what I would expect. Very good harassment against this SCV, actually. It's really, really annoying. And he doesn't want to lose the drone, so he actually turns around. I think that's the right choice. When people over-micro the drone, one drone is worth more than one SCV. Does that make sense? Just the way that Zerg works, they need less workers, they have less workers, and they have to make both out of the larva, right? So sacrificing a drone to kill an SCV is actually not a good play unless you also really screw up something else for Taran. I always get shocked when people spend inordinate amounts of time microing their drone at my base, because it's like, dude, it's literally worth more than my SCV. Like, why are you making me click around against this? It's annoying and it's bad. It's literally bad mathematically. Anyways, the SCV doing some scouting. The 2 Marines were rallied over and will turn around as a couple Lings come down. Rush looking for that bit of extra pressure. Gas is mining. Where's the eBay? There's no eBay. He's going to go quick factory. Oh, I think this is going to be a Valkyrie rush. Yeah. That's what this is going to be. Okay. So the SCV staying alive, trying to continue to scout. You really don't want to lose it at this point, but it seems like he is going to have to run. 4 Marines coming across the map to put some additional pressure on. And also this is important for like scouting intel. Now look, he's going to drill it up here. Yeah, saves it with those Marines. And I think he's not going to push all the way. Should he have pushed all the way? I think both decisions were fine here to either push fully, because the thing is, if he doesn't have Zerglings in production yet, pushing fully with the Marines is very strong, and if he does already have Marines and Zerglings in production, you're going to lose all your Marines 100%, but you might trade for some Lings. Okay, anyways, it's whatever on that. The one thing that I was kind of thinking about that was leaning me towards attacking with those Marines is he didn't get to see the actual tech put down. Obviously, he knew how far along the layer was, so he's like, oh, hey, this is Spire. But once you chase that SCV out, if you do throw down a Hydralisk Den, that can screw up your opponent. Like, if you look at the build that right now Rush is using, this is a Valkyrie Rush, right? Like, see Armory on the way. he's going to make a bunch of anti-air. And he actually has 0 intel right now. So if you happen to throw down that Hydralisk Den, like this is a funny thing because this is 2 top-end ASL pros playing each other. And like obviously they don't completely know what each other are doing, but they're following meta closely. If you play on the ladder at a lower level and they get your SCV out that quickly, some percentage of the time a Hydralisk Den will go down. And if a Hydralisk Den goes down here and you're sitting there making a Valkyrie and missile turrets, that's tough. Now, that being said, you always rush Academy with this so you can get some scans down so that you can react a little bit, right? So, like, let's say, see this scan that goes down? He scans in the middle. That's funny because that scan is super dangerous. A scan is exactly the size of the creep around a hatchery, right? So, like, well, I guess in this particular spot, there's no place here that you can fit it. But, you know, there are other areas that he could have put tech in here as well. Of course, it has to do with the timing of the third hatch. Anyways, I'm just talking about some of these risks that are being taken. It is always interesting to me how these choices are made. Now, up flies a group of mutas here. 7 mutas going to be able to do these one-shots on the SCVs, but the Valkyrie is out, so that's going to be pushed back pretty quickly. He did get several kills, and notice he cancels out that turret because it's like, okay, the Valkyrie's still alive, we're fine. You don't really need any more missile turrets this game. Hydralisk Den is on the way here for Sacsri. Takes a third base up at this other natural. Now, this is, like, you have to make some sunkins against this. If Rush were to go towards the top left, that would just be dead. Right? Like you cannot hold that, but he does make some sunkins. And this is actually incredibly important, right? Because these Valkyrie rush pushes, it's like if you can keep them alive, they massacre the mutas so heavily that you can move out with tiny amounts of Marines. Look at this. 12 Marine, 3 medic move out. It's like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll pressure with an army of that size, but it'll be like here. Whereas he's actually ready to possibly attack. But he's got to be careful because what Sacsri wants to do is snipe the Valkyries. Now look at this. Comes up. That was perfectly done. That was art. Damn. He brought the Lings up to suck up Marine hits. He had the Scourge under the mutas, and then he just cloned them off onto the Valkyries. So he kills 2 Valkyries there basically for free. He takes 2 volleys of Valkyrie fire only. Look at that. Barely any damage on the mutas. He has a row of Sunkens. You're not breaking through here. Queen's Nest on the way. A few scans going off. So he does find this. That's funny. He scans specifically this base. He's like, I think you took that. It's pretty great. It looks like he picked off a few Lings there. You still have to be careful with this army. He does have a couple Scourge in there to pick off that Valk if it gets out of position at all. If he attacks something like an Overlord, man, he's going to lose it for sure. Well, not now because he brings some Marines down. But like they're always looking for that, Zerg players, for you to accidentally like attack an Overlord that you shouldn't, get your Valkyrie slightly out of position because they do freeze during that attack. Now, 3 Lurkers on the way. If he saves this base, I quite like his position. Needs to save it, though. Oh, dude. He has killed 4 Valks so quick, and he saves the base. Dude, like, honestly, this is Rush, okay? And Rush pulled off a Valkyrie defense early on. He got that without taking any damage. Blocked almost 100% of the Mutalisk harassment. And now Sacsri is sat here. He's picked off 4 Valkyries. He's defended perfectly both locations. He's playing amazingly. Like, right now, without any question in the world, Sacsri is well ahead. This is a great position. If you're playing as Taran here, you're like, oh no, I have no tools, right? Like, look at this. He's going for tanks in siege mode, which is like, okay, yeah, I mean, there's Sunkens here and there's Lurkers and everything. But I'm going to tell you guys honestly, like, he's not going to break anything before Consume is done. And if your opponent has Consume done before your siege tanks can do anything, you're just a bit behind from that. It's not necessarily game ending, but you are definitely a bit behind. Now, there's some hold position Lurkers here. This could end up being gigantic. Sacsri with the movement. I had to be quiet there. I didn't want to tip him off. But he, like, just moved his mutas around, and Rush is like, oh, let me zone those away from my tanks. And you can just see how ridiculously much damage was dealt there. Okay, so this push is coming up. Okay, as far as consume being done for this exact timing, this is more about he's not going to have enough detection, I would say, than consume going to be what saves him, because the Defiler Mound is actually slightly slower than what I thought we were going to end up seeing there. But how many scans do we have? 1, 2. 2 scans right now. So, like, all you have to do is force 2 more, and then you're basically not going to be broken, and then consume's going to be done. It's going to be great. See, so he actually, look at this. He's got lurkers on this side, lurkers on that side. Gonna scan to try to kill these. This is a great move from Rush. Great move from Rush. And now as he uses that scan, that should be all of his detection. Very hard to make something like this work. Especially when you lose that many Valkyries this game. Man, kills another one there. 5 gone so far. First vessel is out. He did work up another couple scans in this time. So going to try to continue the push, but that's so many lurkers. If you sieges, he can just run up and kill it. He's waiting. He's like, are you going to siege? And there you go. This is where you run up. The thing is, like, it's actually good micro from Rush. He picks off more lurkers than I actually thought he would. What you want to do is try to keep them so that they aren't in range of that tank. This is actually, the engagements that Rush is doing up here are beyond my expectations. He's doing a fantastic, fantastic job with them. By the way, Vulture Speed is on the way, and a second factory is up. So it looks like this might turn into a mech build from Rush, which is pretty wild. Wasn't expecting that as well. And in fact, now that I'm looking at it, he doesn't have +1. And even with mech switches, generally you end up getting +1, but it looks like he skipped out on it this game. And this is going to turn into a mech game. These barracks will be lifted. Yep. You know, you can kind of tell that he's done with that. And this is where you add a bunch of factories. So at this point, what you need to do is lay a bunch of mines. Okay, so the mech switch is interesting. I like to see it because we don't see it very often right now. I don't find this to be a good position for Rush still, right? Like, his push did much better than I anticipated. And honestly, if he went into SK Taran with that, it might have been a slightly better position. But there's a few problems with going mech here. And, well, Sacsri is basically just taking a 4th at the moment. Okay? You need 4 bases with mech against Zerg. And it looks like he's going to try that. He's sending a tank over here. He's laying some mines. Okay, okay. If he can get this up and hold this, absolutely. This can become a very cool mech game. But I think in general, this is an important concept. Like, when mech first kind of, like, these mech transitions were first made, a lot of it has to do with just having enough bases. And if you look at almost every mech transition, it's like, yeah, 4 bases seems to be the amount where you can produce enough that you're actually going to be good, because you need to be able to actually, like, trade some. You can't just play the cost-efficient game. You actually do have to attack Zerg some, right? Like, you can play the efficient game a lot of times with mech, where you're like, yeah, I'm going to grind everything down. But if you try that, queens win. So you actually have to maintain some sort of aggressive stance. And that can be difficult if you don't have those 4 bases, especially when you think about things like Dark Swarm and 1 Lurker. Like, you can't get past that with mech. You'd have to utilize something like running by it or possibly a radiate, right? And you can't really support all that on fewer bases. Okay. Sorry, a little bit too zoomed out here, perhaps. A lot of upgrades on the way. Drop upgrade for Sacsri. He's getting into Ultralisks. Not that Ultras are very good against mech, but they can be utilized in drops and whatnot. Not running into a siege tank line, but definitely being dropped out, they can be strong. You know, getting the Defiler energy here. We don't see that Queen tech yet, but I do expect to eventually see that. Like, I feel like that's something you definitely want to buy here, is Queen energy, probably. That's actually why I had to hover, because I don't know the graphics of these. It looked like Defiler to me, but I don't pay too much attention to that. But yeah, like, Queens are the end-all. That's why we don't really see mech very much against Zerg. if it weren't for Broodling, the matchup might actually just be mech at this point. Okay, a Defiler plus Lurker push coming over here. So this is a bit problematic. If he is able to break this base, Rush is going to be in a very, very tough position. Good Irradiates come out, though. It seems like he should be able to hold it for now. There are a few more units coming up, though. Yeah, a lot of Irradiates popping a lot of those Lurkers. Now, drops are about to finish. Getting a bunch of Overlords together. Even a small drop of, like, a Dark Swarm and a handful of Zerglings is super strong against mech if you can get that off in the main base. Okay, trying to run back. Decent play going down. Dark Swarm runs up and burrows. The Irradiates are doing fantastically. Notice a bunch of Scourge are being made now. And 10 Ultras! 10 Ultras in production. That's insane. Yeah, the vessels are actually doing a really good job, but there's not actually very much air support here. So that is something he's going to have to watch out for. Keeping those vessels alive going to be pretty crucial this game, I think. A couple of factories going up in this top left main. If he can start to make some vultures and tanks up here, it'll really help with that defense. The siege tank's doing a good job for now, though. 1-1 is on the way. Kind of surprised he doesn't actually have +1 yet. So many Ultras are actually being made right now. Like, this army from Sacsri that's coming out is so scary. Tons of Zerglings as well. Looks like a Lurker plus Defiler drop is going to be coming out. I think he's just seeing the amount of siege tanks and knows anything that comes out of the Overlord dies instantly, so you don't want to drop there. Going towards this natural. Mines being laid to try to catch anything. He's going to drop it, though. Yeah. And this is going to just stop mining in this area. Yeah, the double Dark Storm is awesome. He can throw down Irradiates, but he needs 3. So that's rough. Just going to stop that from mining for a little bit. Single Ultra kind of running through here for God knows what reason. And the mass Ultra Ling coming up to this base. Now, actually, if all these units were up here, you would stop a frontal push of this. But in this open area, like, Sacsri can just clean this out. Yeah, that drop's still doing some real work in there. A few units being made. Sacsri is crushing, man. Rush really wasn't able to do too much. You know, his Valkyries got picked off so quickly. Those Valkyrie strats, they're like feast or famine, I feel like. You know, I don't personally like to do them because it feels like it just revolves so much around, like, 1 to 2 key units doing exactly what you need them to do. And it looks like this base is going to be picked off. But, like, and, oh, okay, we do have, like, kind of a nice run by here, but there's, like, 2 carapace upgrades on the drones. I don't care too much about that. This base gets just totally knocked out. This base hasn't been able to mine for a while. This base is empty. GG is called. But yeah, I just want to mention about that Valkyrie opener, right? When Sacsri hit the Sunkens, picked off multiple Valkyries, got the Lurkers down to stop the Marine medic attack. You know, you're in this weird position as the Valkyrie rusher where you're like, oh gosh, it didn't really go my way. The Valkyries kind of have to get you into a winning position, I feel like, because they slow everything else down. And you can see he tried this mech transition, which was popular for a bit with Valkyrie rushes. You get some Marine medic and Valkyrie, you kind of force your opponent into somewhat turtle position, you go mech from there. And we saw him try to do that. It kind of fell a little bit flat, right? Like, Zergs have gotten very good at when they get into a winning position, kind of maintaining that and knowing what they need to go for. So, yeah, the Valkyrie rush is a little bit feast or famine. As far as mech builds go, still waiting to see if someone can properly revive it. I think we might need Fantasy to stop doing League of Legends jobs and come back. If we're going to see mech actually good. Anyways, those are my thoughts. GG. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.